Hello my beautiful people, welcome to your life path reading for 2022. Can you believe we are here already? So before we get into it, this first part of the reading is always, it's an overview. So what we're going to be looking at is 2022 as a 6 year. This is really important context because it's going to tell you how the year is likely to go in its trends, its themes, the energies that we're likely to experience. And that provides an important context and a backdrop for how we're all going to be experiencing this in, or rather, through the context of the universal year. But more importantly, how that energy is going to play out for us really speaks to how we experience our personal year. So that in itself as well is just as important. I will put a link for those personal year videos in the I'll put one in the description and I'll put one on the little thing floating above my head so that you can get even more into it. But like I said, this part, don't skip it. It's really important that you get an idea of what we're going to be dealing with. And I will be going very in depth this time round. So let's get straight into it. So 2022 is a 6 year, as you now know. 6 is actually the number that is ruled by Venus. So we can definitely say that 2022 is going to be a much easier, a much slower paced year. It's going to be a much calmer year. What I will say as well, 2021 saw us, we kind of experienced a lot of change, right? A lot of upheaval, lots of sharp turns, lots of twists and turns, lots of surprises. It did see a lot of advances in technology, which I talked about. It did see a lot of advances in cryptocurrency, which I talked about in the 2020 videos, right? In the videos for 2021. So it's great to see that this kind of tracks. Now, in terms of the universal year being the number 6, it is tended towards like a slower pace. It's more focused, it's more connected. It's a lot less erratic as well, which is great for all of us, especially those of us that are already naturally a little bit erratic. It's going to be a year that is directed more towards altruism, a year that's directed more to support, to connection, to balance, harmony. It's definitely going to be a year where people really start to consider their own personal impact on things. So we're going to see this energy of accountability is going to start to become a really big or really powerful theme throughout 2022. Now that accountability isn't just going to be for us on the microcosmic level, it's going to be for all of us on the macrocosmic level as well. So this is going to be about governments, this is going to be about people that are in charge, people that are heads of companies, heads of state, etc. There's going to be a lot more of people expecting others to be accountable for their actions and, more importantly, for their impact on the wider world. So as always, I've got my trusty notes here, so if I'm looking away, that's where I am. All right, so in a way, the buzzword for this number 6 year is responsibility. It's one of the biggest words that comes up for the energy of the number 6, right? So it's going to come sharply into focus for all of us in some way, shape or form. Who are we responsible for? Who are we responsible to? And more importantly, how do we meet those requirements? How is it that we really show up for what and who we are responsible for? And how do we play our part, right? Whether for the good or for the ill, as they say. So some of the considerations that are going to come up with this year, and these are definitely not, like, it's not just limited to the things that I mentioned. You'll see many trends and themes evolve over the year, but these are the ones that I've really honed in on because I kind of feel like these are going to be like they're going to be like the structure or the skeleton of the year that really kind of shows people, right, okay, this is where we're at. So domestic life, when it comes to your home, its contents, everybody that lives within, so people that you live with or, people that you want to live with. How can you get the most out of your home? How can you improve your home? There's going to be a lot of decorating, interior design is really going to take off this year or become a lot more prominent. People, doing more development on their homes. So that whole thing about construction of new homes, definitely going to be a theme throughout this year. The materials that we need in order to construct homes is also going to be a challenge over the course of this year. It's a continuation in a sense, yes, but these things are really going to be highlighted. How can you make your home look and feel better for yourself or for the people that are dwelling inside with you? what can you do to make your home a sanctuary, right? Because your house is what keeps you safe from the elements. It's what helps you shut the world outside out when you need to. It's supposed to be a sanctuary. Supposed to be warm, you know, to be a place where all of your needs can be met regardless of what's happening. And I think a lot of people are really going to tap into that this year. Home, the hearth, the family, familial ties and connections, whether these are familial ties and connections that you choose or whether they're familial ties and connections that you're born to, is kind of going to be irrelevant this year. It's going to be all about how do we connect? How do we, you know, bring more of that connection in? These things are going to be more important than ever, so I do feel like those things will definitely expand. So on the wider world stage, this is likely to translate to a housing crisis. It might also be that we start to get more conscious of how can we eliminate the problem of homelessness. We might see a big drive towards how we can start to improve, you know, living life for people. It's ridiculous. It's just, sorry, excuse my language, but it's effing ridiculous that in 2022 we still have homeless people. It's just unfathomable. It just doesn't make any sense. It's ridiculous. Okay, rant over. Reining it in. All right, so this whole thing about, again, right, this disparity between wealth and, you know, the super wealthy and all the rest of it. Not only are we going to see more of a divide, but we're going to start to see more calls to action to shrinking that divide, to making things more equal, to making things more balanced. Remember, this number is ruled by Venus. Venus is all about balance. It's all about harmony. It's all about smoothing off the rough edges. So it's probably going to see us highlighting what we can do for those that are homeless in some way, shape or form. So another thing that I've got here as well is cleanliness. So I believe that over the course of this year, we're going to see a much more, we're going to be more focused on cleanliness, and how that can be a part of our daily routines, which I find this really interesting as well, because in ancient astrology, Demetra George writes in one of her books that one of the things that is assigned to Aquarius is cleanliness, right? Which is really interesting to me because Saturn, the ruler of Aquarius, is in the sign of Aquarius. So I found that really interesting that as soon as we had this, yes, we had the pandemic and the shutdown and the lockdown and stuff, but we also had this really, you know, powerful, stringent drive towards being more clean. Now, what I will say is what I've got here is what is clean? How do we clean? And I think this is going to see a lot of developments on the wider world stage on how we can cleanse or clean our lives, our homes and our bodies, but in ways that aren't toxic to us or the environment. So there's going to be a lot of developments on how we can work in harmony or in tandem with nature rather than fighting with it in some way, which I think is great, right? So we're probably going to see new technologies and things developed when it comes to cleanliness. I think this is going to have a lot to do with sound and frequency. I've got this really, you know, powerful hit when I was doing all of the research for this year, that these are going to be some of the ways that we really tap into this idea of cleansing ourselves, cleansing our space, cleansing our body. And remember, everything at the end of the day is vibration and frequency. So I think we're going to see a lot to do with developments on that front. We'll definitely be paying more attention to our oceans, our seas, our rivers and our lakes. There's going to be big focus on how to clean up our water supply, because if we don't have water, it don't matter how rich, what your status, where you're from, if you ain't got water, you ain't got life, period, right? Clean water is a necessity for everybody. So there's going to be more money and attention placed on the vital waters of life. I definitely believe that. That being said, new developments in blood cleansing and vaccinations. I definitely feel 2026 is where we're going to see a massive advancement towards a cure or a vaccine for HIV and various other illnesses as well. So when it comes to healing, we're definitely going to see a big focus on this as well. A lot of the new age methods will start to really gain prominence. Now, when I say new age, what I actually mean is ancient ways of healing. herbalism, medical astrology, sound, frequency, vibration, all of those things, energy healing. We're going to see all of these things really start to come to the fore. Natural, non-toxic, non-invasive ways of healing are going to really prevail over this year. And here's the beauty of it. I don't think that this is going to pit us at odds with the medical tradition. I actually feel like we're going to start to see a dovetail. This is where we're going to start to see how can we fuse these things? How can we really find ways to integrate the two, which will be brilliant. I definitely think we're going to see an expansion of such things. Sound healing, frequency, vibrational healing will definitely come to the fore. I also think that medical science is definitely going to advance this year. Like, I really believe that. But as a result, I think we're going to see more and more of a crossover between the two. If not a global level, then at least at a grassroots level. And that grassroots level of everything is going to be very important this year, because we're going to see a lot more of that. All right, we're going to start to see less of the we're going to start to see it more on the microcosmic level, let's say. Herbalism, definitely going to be a revival. Green get together and more group healing work as well is definitely going to start to expand. So when we talk about spiritual progression, to be spiritual is to be organized and in harmony with all that surrounds you and all that you encounter. So just like its upside down counterpart, the number 6 has a natural draw towards leaving the world and people better than you find them, right? 6 is actually the number that is all about responsibility and service. It's the energy of the agony aunt or the healer or the mystic or the the maintenance or the caregiver, right? So it's all about leaving things and people or even environments better than you find them. We're going to see a lot of this year and a lot of drive towards that. This energy as well can be known as the fixer energy. So it takes problems, challenges and issues, and it will lovingly and painstakingly work on them until they're dissipated or, removed altogether. It's actually a very spiritual number in that sort of sense. And because, the highest form of spirituality is to be of service to the universe in some way, shape or form. I truly believe that. Now, this is, it's what I've put here is, it's the cleansing ritual before the magic and the enchantment of the year 7, 2023 kicks in, right? So for those of you that are into this kind of thing, 6 is the year of the clearing and the cleansing of the space before you set your enchantment or your intention forth in the 7 or the spiritual sphere, all right? So it's an important aspect or a part of this that people often overlook, right? So remember, all steps are important in the process of manifesting something. You can't leave one out, and that means not leaving out the cleansing stage as well. All right, so on the wider world stage, we're definitely going to see more care towards service providers, healthcare workers and professionals, people that actually showed up for us when it really bleeping mattered. Like, we're going to see a lot more kindness and courtesy towards those people, if not from, the oligarchs and all of the hierarchical stuff, certainly from the people on the ground below. All right, so support and connection. This is a very supportive energy. It's very connective. 6 has that natural pull, that natural draw towards harmonizing things, bridging the gaps between things that maybe don't have any connection and finding a way to create one. It means as well taking form from one thing to give to another. So this may very well see. So 2020 and 2021, we saw a lot of wealth transference from the majority of the people to the minority of the people. 2022 is going to start to see the opposite. It's the way that universal law works, right? You can't have something that is unbalanced. The universe doesn't like it, just like it doesn't like a vacuum, right? So it's very, very interesting to see how this will come out. This divide between the wealthy and the poor, we're definitely going to see more of a spotlight on it. If it goes ignored, there will be a lot of noise and a relentless drive towards making it better for everybody as opposed to just a certain few. So let that be a universal warning to those those that are in charge. Don't shoot the messenger, I'm just a vessel. This will definitely be the starting of the community living. So lots of people have talked about this, and we know it's coming through in the astrology as well. 2022 is where we're really going to see this stuff start to happen. It's actually going to become a reality. We're going to see communities popping up left, right and center. People will be demanding more connection, more community, more sense of pulling together. If they don't get it, and it's not present in the world, then they'll just create it themselves. It will literally just be that, like, okay, well, what we want and what we need isn't being provided, so we'll do it our damn selves. And once we've done that, there's not going to be any standing in our way because we declare our own, right? So, you know, I love it. It will definitely be more about people coming together and living together as well. More sharing, more caring is the name on is the name and the number of Venus. Beauty and romance. So while this number is very practical, it's also very Venusian in a sense. It does appreciate anything and everything natural. We're going to see a draw towards more sort of neutral colors, lots more pastel colors, things that are a lot more things that are a lot more pleasing to the eye, things that are lighter, brighter and more caring. So 2021 was a lot about sort of, you know, what was really in your face and really bold and really deep and all the rest of it, whereas 2022 is going to be a lot more sort of smoother. So I've put here pastels in greens, yellows and blues. Gentle color palettes are definitely going to be way more favorable, as will gentle makeups, anything that is natural, that's kind to the skin, that's kind to the environment, that's easy to make without destroying the environment. All of this is going to be to the fore. Startups that promise to be you know, kind to the environment, or to offer more in the way of you know, kindness to flora and fauna will definitely come up over the course of this year for sure. Also, the demand for more greenery, the demand for more natural feel to things, for more open spaces, more room for animals, more connection to, with and for nature is going to be to the forefront. And again, if we don't get it, people will just start to create it. People are definitely going to start walking away from cities, anywhere that's too built up, where you're living on top of each other like, you know, sardines and stuff. It's just not the way of it anymore. People want more space, more openness and more freedom where they can gather more together. And, you know, again, if they don't get it, they'll just make it themselves. They want clean, fresh, natural, open spaces that have a community or communal feel to it. There's a need or a call for more. That's where the money's going to be flowing as well. So if you're thinking about starting a business, think about all of the things that I've mentioned are going to come up over the course of this year, because this is just the seeding of it. It's not like, oh, here it's 2022 and that's all that's going to be, and, you know, then it's done. This is like literally, that's, you know, this is the chance really for you to get ahead of the next gold rush, I guess. All right, so what people will be interested in. People are going to be interested in things and people that roll up their sleeves and get stuck in and help others. The beauty is in the dirt, in the mud, in the sweat, in the beauty, in the fucking crotch of everything that you are, right? This is about getting stuck into things with the deepest aspects of yourself. It's not about surface stuff. It's about coming together. It's about really being accountable and responsible, and, you know, thinking about other people rather than just yourself. Those are going to be the things that are sexy this year. That's going to be the stuff that really gets people fired up. The elements and how they affect and change us: rain on the skin, air in the lungs, grass under your toes and in between your toes, and sand in your toes. I get really excited because I'm a hobbit at heart. You know, give me a tree to put my back to, a book, maybe some music, don't necessarily need it, but, and, you know, a wide open expanse with my toes in the grass. You got me for life. I'm happy. I don't need much. All right. We'll definitely see a lot of kickback between companies and their workers. Why? 6 is the number of the home and the hearth. And as I said to you last year, this whole idea of going back to the office, a lot of people are just done with it. They're over it. They don't want it, right? And they will continue to kind of hold back from that. So a word to companies, etc. Think about ways that you can sort of maybe create a more blended feel where people can spend more time at home and some time in the office. Because if you try to just get them to come back to this whole 9 to 5 in the grind thing, it's just not going to work. It's already started falling apart. All right, people want comfort, connection, community, and ease. That's got more weight than the high-powered career this year, right? 6 is bringing a reckoning. It really is. Okay, so Jupiter falling or moving into the sign of Pisces is directly feeding into all of this. So Jupiter is the great magnifier, the great expander, the great lord of abundance and growth, children and spiritual law. So I've said this before and I will definitely say it again. I think we're going to see a massive drive to, not drive towards, but I think we're going to see a lot of babies born in 2022 for sure. The big man of kings and universal law is what I've put here. All of it sounds wonderful for the most part, and it is. But consider this, Pisces is the 12th sign. It's a placement of a lot of politics and people that are in politics, which means we might see as well, I think we're going to see a few meteoric rises of certain politicians or people that kind of seem to come out of nowhere and all of a sudden find themselves, you know, at the top with lots of followers or really, you know, standing out in their message or in their speech. If they meet the needs and the wants and the will of the people, they will survive. If not, it will be a collective thumbs down. It's going to be more and more that the will of the people starts to rule from here on in. So again, let that be a message to those of you that are in charge. So Pisces is all things and no thing at once. It's got no boundaries. It's a double-bodied water sign. As such, it's got no boundaries, and it means that we do have quite a lot to consider in this sense, because if Jupiter expands things and Pisces has no boundaries, this is like literally an expansion of that boundlessness. So this is something to consider. It's also going to be, I talked about the huge wave of babies that might be coming in from here on in. We now see a dissolving of certain ideas and also places. The European Union might start to crumble or dissolve. Not saying it will, but just an idea. Borders between countries may also start to come down, or the lines may get very blurred. Neptune's already in Pisces, so we're going to see a lot of legalized drugs this year. And maybe in places where they haven't been before, or maybe places where it's been a little bit more taboo, etc. I think we're definitely going to see a drop in the crime rate, which I talked about in, if any of you purchased my 2022 videos, I talked a lot about this for 2022 in those. So if you've seen the sign videos, then you know I talked about this. Whatever has been hidden will come to light in powerful ways. And then finally, as Jupiter is the ruler of spiritual law, we're going to see more than a few cases of miracles, but it's also going to be vital to have your wits about you, right? It's important that you don't allow yourself to be hoodwinked this year, because there are going to be a few rises of gurus, etc. And as we drive towards more people cultivating a need for spirituality, especially as we get to 2023, it's going to be important to use your own discernment, especially for some of the stuff that we see, because we might see some weird stuff in 2022 still. You know, just be aware that that is the case. Now, I have said to everybody, building a solid spiritual practice for 2022 is going to be vital, because that spiritual practice and that spiritual work that you do in 2022 is going to offer you the life raft or the rope to get you through the murky weirdness that is going to be 2023. I make no bones about saying this, right? For those of you that have seen the webinar that I did with Heather from Astrology with Heather, we talked about the next 5 years from 2020 right through to 2025. It's going to be an interesting time for sure, but 2023 was the year that really stood out to me as being like, okay, yeah, this is going to be a really weird year, right? We're going to see some odd stuff 2022, but it will be the real weird sort of murky what the hell is going on. That will be 2023. So finally, energy medicine, witchcraft, occult things, astrology, numerology, tarot, human design, all of these systems are going to be more in demand than ever. We might see some kickback from them. Integrity is going to be everything. Those tarot readers, astrologers, numerologists, human design readers, witches, all the rest of it. The ones that have integrity will be the ones that really do well this year. Remember, Jupiter's in its home sign of Pisces. So while there'll be an expansion of these things, it will be the ones that have integrity, the ones that are on point, the ones that are not charlatans, basically, that will be the ones that continue to grow, whereas everybody else will kind of fall to the wayside. And then finally, let me be clear, the age of the guru, while coming to an end, will be going out with a bang. All right, so you're going to have to see this. And I do feel that we're going to see a lot of, not a lot of, but certainly some of the bigger ones will be taking a tumble because the smoke and mirrors energy just not going to cut it this year. All in all, I think this can be a very beautiful year, maybe one that is a little bit excessive, possibly even a little bit pedantic in its energies. Remember, it is Venus ruled, so maybe the dark side is that people just want more luxury because they've been denied so many things. But it is going to be lighter, it is going to be brighter, it is going to be easier, more down to earth, and certainly better than anything we've experienced over the course of the last 3 years. With that said, stick around and we will get into your life path reading for 2022. Thank you so much. Take care and I'll see you soon. Hello, you beautiful Life Path 4 person. Welcome to your 12-month tarot breakdown. Before we get into it, let me start by blessing my decks of cards with all forms of love, light, peace, prosperity and abundance. And I pray that the messages that come through are ultimately clear and concise and they help you on your path to your highest vibrational good. So before we get into it, I've got a few notes here about this, about how 2022 is going to affect you if you are a Life Path 4 and what this energy kind of might mean for you for the year ahead. So I'm going to jump straight in. So this is a year for you to consider what is next. The way that your energy combines with the year, this is a year where you're going to start to think about what is next? What is the next frontier for you? What is the space of your life that you want to take, or what direction do you want to take your life path really? Where is it that you want to take things in a new direction in some way, shape or form? This is definitely a year for you to think about ways that you can break out of old patterns, old cycles, anything that holds you back, anything that holds you down, anything that holds you to your old self. This really could be a powerful year of evolution in some way, shape or form, especially if you're having a personal year one. Don't worry, one of those floaty things will be above my head at some point, and there will be a link in the description box for you to see how to calculate your life path number and your personal year number, should I say, and also to check out your personal year video, because those are up and out there too. But yeah, this is a year for you to break free of old patterns, to release old cycles in any way, shape or form. This is all about what is next, where you want to take your life from here on in. All right, so this is also a year for you to be bold, to be dynamic, to be daring, to take your life in a new direction. This is a year for you to really think about ways that you can break out of old patterns and cycles. And as that is the case as well, we need to talk about the fact that you are a Life Path 4. So 4 is very stable, it's very grounded, it likes the tried and true, it likes the traditional methods, it likes the things that kind of stick in our minds because they have been tried, true and tested. Those things might not necessarily do it for you this year. You might find yourself kind of for the first time in a long time saying, wow, you know what, I need a change, or actually this feels like it's stifling in some way, shape or form. And you know, I'll be honest with you as well, this might be a year where some people say, wow, you know, you seem to not be acting like yourself, like is everything okay? And everything is fine. It's just that you're going through a personal sense of evolution. All right, so try new things and be open to new ideas. I can't stress that enough for you. Over the course of this year, be open to the possibilities. Be open to what could be beyond what you know, right? So what is next? What comes up next? How can you take things in a new direction that are really going to feed and nourish your soul, or even just get you more excited about life in general? All right, so for what I've also got here is break out of a box. Now, you've heard me say this before, right? Whether you're a life path 4, whether you're having a personal year 4, I say this to everybody, right? 4 can literally be a step that takes you to the next level, which is amazing, right? But it can also be a box that holds you prisoner. And whichever one of those is expressed through you, around you, over you, to you, really does depend on how you view things, how you use your own energy, and what your own outlook is, right? So nobody else is in control of that stuff besides you. If you're 4 energy, whether this is your life path, your personal year, etc., if it's acting like a prison, there's something that you need to change, right? This is about taking responsibility after all, because we are talking about the number 4. Now, that being said, this is a year for you to think of yourself first. There's a novel concept for a person that has a 4 energy, especially of a 4 life path, right? Because you tend to be team players. This is a year for you to think of yourself first. This is a year for you to put yourself first. It's a year for you to become the leader, the bellwether in some way, shape or form. I love that term, by the way. I heard it as a name and I was like, I'm sure that means something. I know it means something. And when I looked it up, it means, so a bellwether is it's the first sheep of the flock that's always ahead. It's kind of like the leader, and they put a bell around its neck, so it's called the bellwether. So it kind of sets the pace. I love that. I don't know why, but I love it. Anyway, this is a year for you to think about where you can be a leader, where you can step up, where you can take things in the direction that you feel that they should be going. In a lot of ways, this is, a great time, great energy for you to start a business. Unless you're in a personal year 7 or a personal year 9, I probably wouldn't do it under that energy. I'd probably need to see, I'd need to read for you to know for sure. But yeah, if you're in a personal year 7 or if you're in a personal year 9, maybe this isn't the energy is definitely supportive for you to start something new. But if you're on a personal year vibration of a 7 or a 9, it may come with a lot more added strings or challenges. But overall, as a glance, this is definitely a good year for you to initiate new things. All right. So, and then finally, be honest about what isn't working, right? You got to get really honest, really clear with yourself in the mirror about what is working, what isn't working, what you want to do and what you no longer want to do, right? This is a year for you to say, yes, this resonates, or no, it doesn't, right? That's an energy that you can definitely get on board with, all right? So, 4 energy tends to be quite clear cut in its lines, its boundaries, and its delineation. So your blessings this year: change, bravery, honesty, right? Everything that change requires, right, is going to be at your disposal this year. It's going to make you more outspoken. It's also going to make you more pioneering, right? So this could be a year where you really step forward with something that is new, that's novel, that really does make people pay attention. And like I said, because it's going to seem or feel kind of out of character to other people, for you, this is just a new layer of who you are, right? But to everybody else, it might be like, wow, okay, you are changing rapidly. What's going on? They'll catch up. And then finally, revolutionary. This could definitely be a year where you decide to do something very new, or to take things or even your life in a very different direction to the way that it was headed before. So your lessons or your challenges for this year, this energy can make you somewhat self-centered. For the most part, I actually think that's a good thing this year. It can make you somewhat impatient. Stubborn is an energy that you've probably heard your entire life. You are a life path 4 after all. This can also, the way that these energies combine, they might make your focus a little bit narrow-minded. So just be sure, like obviously you want to be the bellwether. You do need to be upfront. You do need to make sure that your decisions are your own this year. But if someone's giving you good advice, regardless of how you feel or whether you get in your feelings, it's good advice, right? this can make you quite brutal. Now, you guys are known for being quite sort of to the point. Fours do not mince words, right? What you see is what you get. Absolutely. It's one of the things that I love about this number and that I've come to love over the years. But this year you could be really like, and people would be like, did I just get red to filth? Yeah, you did. All right. So, and then finally, this energy is somewhat unrefined in its expression. Now, this could kind of see you at odds with the year in a sense. And the reason being, 4 itself is about the process of refinement. It's about the energy of power through routine. The number 6 is Venusian, right? We've talked about this ad nauseum at this point, and so it's a very harmonious and sort of eloquent kind of energy. So these two energies have this real sort of refined sort of sense about them, but the way that they combine for you this year, you might find that there are things that you do where you kind of feel like, you know what, usually I have a bit more finesse than that. It's not that you're lacking finesse, it's just that you've got this kind of toddler energy this year, right? So if you ever see a toddler when they're just starting to walk, it's like the funniest thing ever, because it's kind of, all over. They're walking, they're doing the thing, right? But it's just hilarious because they're all over the place. This might be the way that some of your new skills, abilities, directions, paths, etc. find you over the course of this year. All right. So with that said, let's get into your cards for the 12 months ahead. So you get 1 destiny card, 1 direction card per month. And you've had a jumper, and your first card, I believe your first card, it kind of sets, your first card is the bellwether, right? It kind of sets the tone for what the year is going to be like for you. And you have the Star. Oh, right? This is all about the future. It's all about what comes next. It's all about the new direction that opens up before us. And the fact that you have this as your, your destiny card for January, this suggests to me that you launch into the new year like totally hopeful, totally clear and aware that there are new horizons opening up for you. And if there aren't new horizons in front of you, this is about you saying to yourself, I'm going to create them. Now, for some of you, this could be like literally at the start of the year, you say to yourself, I want a new website, I want to start a business, maybe you want to join a new community of some sort. That does feel like the way that this might present itself. So for a lot of you, this could see you changing your social circle or your friendship circle in some way, shape or form, or joining groups and forums that are focused around new things that you're wanting to bring into your life. Straight out of the gate here in January, and the fact that you've got this for the year, it does suggest to me that it could be a very bright and a very hopeful year for you, where you really do start to understand that there are new options available, new options and horizons available to you at every turn. Love this. Now, remember, at the beginning of the year, Venus is going to be retrograde right the way through until the 29th of January. So be aware that that energy is floating around. I find it really interesting as well that Venus is going to be retrograde as we go into a Venusian ruled year. On top of that, we've got the Mercury Retrograde. That's that little toggle here. And that will begin on the 15th of January, I believe. It will retrograde out of the sign of Aquarius and back into the sign of Capricorn. So there's a lot of Capricornian energy at the start of the year. We're not done with all of that yet, as it seems. Now, that being said, your direction card, to give it some context, to kind of see where this might be taking us, where it might be going, you have the Knight of Swords, right? So the only thing that I want to say to you is you're launching into the year right? And I said to you, this is the best way to go. You are dancing to the beat of your own drum. And I absolutely love this, because it means that you're really, not only are you self-aware this year, but January you come into the year like, you know what, I am determined to change my life. I'm determined to change my experience in some way, shape or form. And I love this. There will definitely be opportunities to meet people. There will definitely be a community of some sort in the digital or online sphere that will be taking place for you. I also feel as well, for a lot of you, this might be you joining communities in person. The funny thing is, I kind of feel that you might start, because the Knight of Swords is often very hasty, right? So you might really launch into this very quick, and then, you know, at the beginning of the year, like maybe within the first quarter, you're a member of like 10 new clubs, and then it's like, okay, actually, you know what? Not all of these really resonate with me. I'll just keep the ones that do. But hey, listen, there's nothing wrong with casting your net wide, right? For February, you have the High Priestess. This is likely to be a time where hidden things are revealed, as we always say, but it's also a time where February is going to be you scaling something back, right? This is literally where you're going to be saying to yourself, okay, here I need to get back to basics, right? This is where you're stripping something back to its core components to see what is left. Once all the fluff and the pomp and all the circumstances taken away, what is the essence that I'm left with here? Pay attention to your dreams, your psychic hunches, your, you know, gut instincts as well, because they're going to be speaking to you at this time. And you've got this with the Eight of Cups. So it does look like you are leaving something behind. You're walking away from something in February, right? And you've got this with the High Priestess. In a way, I really feel like this is one of those moments, like, you know, when you go to a party and you're like, okay, I'm not really feeling this. Even after you've, you know, maybe sat and you've talked to some people and you've had some drinks and you're still just kind of like, yeah, I'm just not feeling this. So you kind of duck out quietly before anybody makes a big deal and, you know, gives it all the, oh no, you've got to stay. There's something in February that you're deciding to release or to let go of, that you're deciding not to be a part of. And it kind of feels like you're wanting to leave or remove this from your life, but in a very quiet sense. It's not about being loud and gregarious or making a bold statement of, you know, like, I'm leaving or anything like that. It's just, you know what, this isn't my space. And this might be one of these new things that you do. For some of you as well, if you're looking for new jobs or you want to change work in the new year, for some of you it looks like you'll be starting that process literally right out of the gate, right? So very interesting stuff. But yeah, February, I do feel like you'll be scaling things back. This is a moment where you're like, you know what, not all of this is for me, and I'm going to start making those cuts quickly before it gets loud or messy or whatever. So for March, you have the Hanged Man, right? So I invite you in March to take a break, right? Whatever that means to you. Take some time out, take a minute to consider what you know, where you're at, take stock. You've got two very spiritual cards here, quite like right next to each other. The Hanged Man is a very spiritual card. The High Priestess, aside from all of its traditional meanings, is also quite a spiritual card, and they're also both watery cards that speak to the internal realm, right? So March could be a time where some big idea is percolating really deep within you, but you're thinking to yourself, I don't know if the current conditions or even environment are supportive to what it is that I'm now envisioning or what it is that I'm dreaming up into in some way, shape or form. The reason I say this is because the Hanged Man is a card of reassessment and reevaluation, and it's also a card of enlightenment. It's like wisdom that comes from within, but only once you've accepted where you're at. And this is why I kind of get this feeling at around March, maybe some idea, some nudge or some hint, maybe the High Priestess has given you a nudge in a direction and you're like, okay, I know that this is the thing that I'm meant to do, or this is where I'm supposed to go, but I'm not entirely sure that the people, the surroundings, the job, the materials, the finances, whatever it is supportive to me manifesting this thing into reality. And so this is a time where March, I invite you to take a beat, right? Just take a moment and ask yourself, okay, what is going to need to change here in order for me to push forward? This comes up with the Two of Wands, right? So I love this. Now, not only are there ideas and considerations, there are real considerations and questions about money, finances, and resources around this time. The interesting thing is, I don't think it's the case that you don't have money. I actually feel like for what you want to do, I actually feel like this might be a time where there's an offer on the table that you're kind of like, yeah, but you know what, if I take this loan from somebody, they're going to have, you know, they're going to ask for creative control. Or it's kind of like when, you know, when somebody sells the rights to their book, right? You kind of waive any sort of ability to have any input unless it's kind of in the contract or whatever. This feels like this. It's almost like there's some help or offer or opportunity that's available to you, but in order to take that help, in order to take that money, that finance, that funding, it's almost like you're going to have to give something, and you're weighing up, like, you know, how much of my idea, how much of my soul, how much of my outlook am I willing to compromise here? So this is going to be a really big consideration for a lot of you. You know, this could be a powerful month for that. I do feel like this could take you in a very different direction though, and it could be a very prosperous one at that. You just need to be very discerning about what that actually looks like for you. Now, as we come into April, we've got the first eclipse season beginning on the 30th of April. We've got that powerful Taurus solar eclipse, a grand beginning, a time to consider what is beginning or starting afresh in your life. This is, you know, opening up that eclipse season, and you have the Wheel of Fortune, right? So this is going to be, eclipses in general are very much like being on a train and then you see this track switch and the train goes in a different direction. That's eclipse energy anyway. The fact that you have the Wheel of Fortune for April, there is going to be a detour of some sort where you are literally being diverted or directed to a new path or a new direction. Don't panic, right? And the reason I say this is because the Wheel of Fortune is actually a great card. It very often will take us to the results, or it fast tracks the results of whatever we've set into motion. This could be a great time for you because it might set you on a completely different path. It may also be a time of travel. It might also be a time where you find a way to step forward with said opportunity that isn't, you know, that doesn't feel like you're compromising way too much. I really like this for you. And then on top of that, you've got the Temperance card. So this is a lot of Saggy energy, all right? The Wheel of Fortune is Jupiter ruled. The Temperance card is Sagittarius. You put these two together then, and you have this amazing recipe for Sagittarian energy. Now, for me personally, there's a couple of ways this could show up. One, this could be a new faith practice and or spiritual outlook or understanding that comes in. This could be, for a lot of you, I feel like this is going to be a month of travel where you are spending time in, with or around communities that are either vastly different to you or have a completely different value system. And I actually feel like this could be great because in a lot of ways, it really feels like it's offering you that final piece of the puzzle. I don't know why, but I get the sense that this is you having a new way to view yourself, like a new way to see yourself. It could also be a time at which you want to steer clear of getting sucked into anybody else's drama, right? Because your energy is going to be quite high around this point in April. You're a life path 4. April is the 4th month, so you've got this kind of amplification going on. Just be sure that the energy that you have access to is being consciously directed, because if it's kind of just floating around or it gets sucked into something that's highly negative, it's likely to amplify whatever situation that is. As we come into May, on the 16th of May, we have the first eclipse, so the Scorpio lunar eclipse on the 16th of May. At the same time, we've got Mercury Retrograde, which is retrograding out of the sign of Gemini back into the sign of Taurus. So there's a lot going on there as well. For this, you have the Magician card, right? So this is very interesting to me because the Magician card is a card of manifestation, as are the cards that preceded it. But this is where you're going, like this, I kind of feel like May is going to be a month where you are going in a new direction, right? So April's going to see a payout of some sort show up for you, whereas May is going to be a time where you're saying, right, okay, now that that's done, completed, you know, given its fruit, whatever, this is what I want to push on with next, right? This is you going in a very new direction, and quite possibly one that's really exciting to you in some way, shape or form as well. This comes up with the 8 of Swords, right? So one of the things that I will say to you is, it does look like there are either delays or hold-ups here in May, right? So if April is taking you in different directions, whatever you're trying to get initiated, get off the ground in May, you do appear to be having a lot of roadblocks. You've got a lot of things stood in your path. That's not to say that you shouldn't go ahead with them. It's more a case of, one, how much is your determination to see this thing through to completion? And two, are you in it for the long haul? Right? And this is something that I want you to be very conscious of, because whatever you set into motion in May, the chances are it's going to be around for a long time, right? This could also be a time at which some of you are having challenges or issues with a boss. Maybe some of you are having challenges or issues with somebody that's in a top spot. It could just as easily be as well on the other side of this. Maybe some of you are a victim of your own success, right? It's very, very possible. Be careful with your words, be careful with what you're communicating out to the world, and make sure that your information is verified and fact checked, right? May is going to be an intense month, I gotta say. So for June, you've got the Sun card, right? So it's not too bad, right? Whatever happens in May, it can be dealt with, right? But because there's that Eight of Swords, I will say that this kind of does suggest that it might be still longer lived than you'd hoped. Sun card, light, heat, joy, abundance, happiness, right? This is a great energy, and it also suggests as well, June could be a month of travel for you. This might be a month where you're taking a trip, a journey. If you're traveling in April, I kind of feel like it's spontaneous and it's likely to have something to do with work, ideas, and or business. Whereas if you're traveling in June, this looks to be a lot more about vacation energy. Oh my gosh. Wow. All right. This is the first reading this has happened for. So Life Path 4 people, you've got the double hit of the Sun card. Use June to your advantage, right? This is a month for you to have fun, to have joy, to kick off your shoes, get your toes in the grass, get your toes in the sand, have some drinks if you're, if you drink, spend time enjoying life, stop to smell the roses. This is just a month where life really is going to sail by, right? And you know what they say, time flies when you're having fun. If you find that June is a month that just kind of zips past, you know why. It's because you're having an absolute blast. For some of you, this could be a month where, you're having children or children feature for you. But there's definitely an element of travel about this, for sure. I mean, like I said, I've had other readings so far where the Sun card has come up twice, but never together. So this is, you got a double hit of that energy. So for July, you have the Judgment card, right? Judgment is a few things. One, it can be a call to action. And two, it can also be a blast from the past. Now, if things, people, energy, situations from the past show up for you around the time of July, it wouldn't be a surprise for me. I want you to be aware of and... I just want you to be aware of this, aware of the fact that something or someone from the past is going to come up, because I kind of feel like this has the potential to trip you up if you're not paying attention. No way. This is, like I said, there have been double ups for sure where, the same card has come out twice, but not like this. This is the only reading that this has happened for so far as I'm recording these, so I'm kind of flabbergasted, to be fair. Right, whatever is initiated in June is definitely going to carry over to July, right? Now, your path, like I said to you, this whole year is very much about change for everybody in some way, shape or form, but for you, it's a massive year of change, right? And so June and July are both, April kind of sets you on a different path. I gotta say, like, this first quarter of the year is one story. As we get into, like, literally the end of the second quarter, though, this is where life completely takes a detour, right? But in the best way. July may be a time where you decide to move ahead with something. Like, this could be one of those moments where, sometimes you have like a burning drive to do something, and whether anybody tells you you can or you can't is irrelevant to you. You're just kind of, oh, no, I got to sneeze. You just you can't contain it. Like, you feel the energy so strongly that it's like, you know what, Even if I fall on my face, I don't care. I've got to do this because this feels like where I'm supposed to go. That drive, that burning passion and drive within you is going to seek expression until it's met, right? So move ahead with it. But remember, there is going to be some sort of blast from the past that comes up for you around this time, and just don't let it trip you up, right? Don't let it get in the way. For 8th of August, you have the Lovers card, right? So choice. Now, I will say, because this card falls right next to a double hit of the Judgment card, this could be an ex-partner, an ex-lover that comes in. This could be, for those of you that are single, this could be somebody completely new that changes your life or changes your world. Maybe this is somebody that is from a religious background and you find yourself being drawn into that because, you know, this person is highly religious or spiritual. Maybe this is that you're learning a new language because, you know, there's a language barrier between you and said partner. This really does feel like a month where relationships, partnerships, love, all of that kind of stuff is really going to be to the fore. If you want a deeper analysis of all of that kind of energy, check out my 2022 videos for the signs. You can get those on the link in the description box below. All right, and then on top of that, look at this. You've got the Two of Cups. I mean, for those of you that are single, my money is on August. This is the month where you find somebody that is truly special to you, somebody that will end up being a partner, somebody that will be a part of your life, you know, from here on in. For those of you that are partnered, married, or in long-term commitments, this is a deepening of the bond. This is, you know, really taking your relationship to the next level, whatever that might mean for you as a couple. Is it getting engaged? Is it getting married? Is it having children? Is it moving in together, right? Whatever it is, this August energy really cements your relationship as something completely solid. I love this for you. I mean, so far, what a powerful year, gosh. September, you have the third and final Mercury retrograde that is going from the sign of Libra into the sign of Virgo. So just be aware that that energy is floating around. For this, you have the Hierophant card. So for some of you, because remember the Hierophant card can be traditional commitments. For some of you, this could be a time where you're getting married. Now, I've got to be honest with you. For some of you, you could be meeting somebody sort of in the early part of the year. And then as we get towards the latter end of the year, you decide, you know what, let's charge in and just get married. I urge you to remember this. I'm not saying this is a bad idea. I'm not saying that you shouldn't move ahead with it. What I am saying is the Knight of Swords coupled with that Star card, this can be a lot of optimism, like, no, it will be fine, and just glossing over the fact that it might not be fine if you move too quickly. So I invite you to slow down, to take a minute to think about what you're doing. The union absolutely looks blessed. It's beautiful. It's gorgeous. For some of you, because you've got this next to the Judgment, the double hit of the Judgment card as well, this now kind of speaks to me where you may also be choosing between two partners, choosing between two lovers. For some of you, maybe this is that you're welcoming a third person into your relationship. It's very possible. You know, I've seen it all. And with this kind of combination of cards, I'm like, well, you never know. So you've got the Hierophant with the Two of Pentacles. When it comes to your money, your finances, and your resources, for those of you that need to take loans, for those of you that need to get mortgages, for those of you that are appealing to financial institutions, if you want to do your research in September, then yes, absolutely. If you want to have the conversation with the bank, then yes, absolutely. Sorry, I got that itchy nose thing again. If you want to do all of the prep work around getting a mortgage, you know, borrowing money, getting a business loan, making a business proposal, all of that stuff, highly favored. This is not, however, the month to actually go ahead with taking that money or that debt on, just because obviously we've got the Mercury retrograde, and with the Two of Pentacles, it always suggests to me that yes, while you will eventually expand your vision or grow whatever you're working on, it does suggest to me that there's something about the budget that you're not necessarily seeing. And that Hierophant card can be the bigger institutions, banks, you know, lenders, all of that kind of stuff. So watch your money in September. For October, as we come into the second eclipse season of the year, you have the Hermit card, right? So this is going to be a month where you're likely to be laying low, and I would say that's probably a good use of your time. Now, this is going to be the 25th of October. You will have a solar eclipse in the sign of Scorpio. So whatever you initiate or whatever starts or shows up around this time, you'll see come to fruition in 2023, all right? You've got this with the High Priestess. So if you've been with me long enough, you know that when I see the Hermit, I often say to people, the Hermit is what you do when the High Priestess has a message for you, right? Make yourself still, calm yourself down, take a moment, take a beat, go within. So there are 3 points this year where you're being asked to really slow down and listen to yourself. One of them, actually, I would say probably 4 at this point now. March, for sure. July, for sure. And October, for sure. And February as well, actually. Those are the 4 points of this year that you're going to want to really take a minute to consider the path that is in front of you before you make any moves, right? October is going to be a powerful month. For some of you, this could be where you're taking a very spiritual trip or a journey. This could be a pilgrimage of some sort. It could just as easily be where you really do feel the need to hide from the world, where you're wanting to spend more time alone, where you're needing to feel not isolated, but you know, because the Hermit card shows us where we need to be alone, right? Where it's like, actually, you know what, I just don't want to be surrounded by people at the moment. This could also highlight to you a path that you need to take that is going to be one that is very lonely. That energy does kind of pervade through this year, right? That's the whole energy of being a bellwether, means that sometimes you are unpopular because you're out on the fringe, because you're so far ahead of everybody else that they can't really see where you're at until they catch up. This is like, for those of you that are an Aquarius out there, you will understand what I mean. Aquarius sets the trend, right? They don't follow them, they live by themselves, not like literally, although often, but they do their own thing. They've got their own sense of style, their own sense of fashion. They see that future energy, right? They do that pioneering thing, and then all of a sudden 3, 6, 9, 12 months later it catches on and it's like a big thing, right? By which time they're already on to the next thing. This October energy could very well be that. You could be doing, experiencing, or living something that other people really don't understand at this moment in time, but they will. It's just going to be, you know, to start with, probably a bit of a lonely path. As we come into November, you have the Justice card. So this is the Taurus eclipse on the 8th of November. This is a Taurus lunar eclipse. Remember what I said, whatever is initiated, starting, or shows up around April, you're going to be seeing the results of it here in November. So what I find really interesting here is you've got the Temperance card, which is all about balance. You've got the Justice card, which also has that element of balance, right? But you've got the Wheel of Fortune, which represents spiritual law. And then you've got the Justice card, which is where human law mimics spiritual law. So I find this really interesting. There's definitely a balancing of the universal scales here in some way. November could see a contract. It might see a commitment of some sort show up. It may see you rethinking a commitment in some way, shape or form as well. So just be conscious of that. Also, another thing that I thought about with this as well, October might be a time where a mentor shows up. A spiritual mentor, a psychic mentor, you know, somebody that does those kinds of things. And then with the Justice card, you've got the Knight of Wands. Don't be surprised if we see a battle erupt on the wider world stage around November. It's very likely to be about resources in some way, shape or form. And to be honest with you, I think it's going to be a lot of pomp and circumstance and hype. I don't think it will get too serious. I also feel like as well, for you guys on the personal level, Remember, your Knight of Wands asks you to be passionate about something, right? To go after what you really feel emotive about. And so, yeah, with the Justice card, maybe you're being invited here to think about where a commitment is what you really want, or where it's just something that feels right for the moment. All right, you're going to have to really pay attention to yourself at that moment. It could be as well for some of you, maybe you're buying or purchasing a property abroad, or certainly further away from where you are. And then finally for December, you've got the Chariot card. So December will definitely be a month of travel for you as well. I like this, right? This is great. In fact, whatever you're, starting or initiating or trying to get hold of in November, it will materialize in December. You've got this with the Six of Cups. So for some of you, this is literally a trip down memory lane. So for some of you, I kind of feel like this is a year where you're going to be doing this. Right, there's going to be lots of zigzagging either across the country that you live in, maybe in your, maybe even on a global scale for some of you. But December looks like you're coming back to a place that you're from, a place that you've lived in before, but you're literally taking a trip, an actual trip down memory lane. All right, so for your key to the year from the Human Design Oracle deck, you have the Gate 63 and Doubt. This, I actually feel like, is the message that you're supposed to pay attention to, only as far as if I'm doubting myself doing it, then I'm creating what I don't want. All right, so this is where you have to get really honest with yourself about that kind of energy. Now, for your challenge months, February could be one of them. May looks like it will be one of them. July, it kind of feels like it's either way. It's neutral, right? And then October could be a challenging month as well. But your power months, January, I actually really like March as well, to be honest with you. It's going to be a slower month, but yes, I like it. April, absolute power month. June, power month. August, especially for love, beautiful month. And then December. So all in all, this could be a really great year for you, one that has a lot of advancement. It will be interesting to see where it goes. Let me know in the comments how it shapes up for you. I wish you an abundance of all of that good stuff. I truly hope you have an amazing year and that 2022 is your best yet. Take care. Let me know in the comments how it goes, and I will see you soon.